get actually to the personal finance segment at this point in time. Our guest is with us, Hemant Rustagi of Wiseinvest Advisors is our expert today. Welcome, Hemant. Here's our first caller. This is Manish calling us from Bangalore. Go ahead, Manish. What's your question?
I want to invest 7,000 every month with the goal of wealth creation. Would you recommend an SIP for both the mid-term as well as the long-term?
Over to you, Hemant.
So I think there are two important aspects for any investor's investment process. The first one is to have clearly established investment goals, and the other one is to have clearly defined time horizon. The goals are important because actually if you have a clearly defined established goals, they help you in terms of remaining focused. And the time horizon is very important because it not only helps you in deciding an appropriate asset allocation, but also in tackling the volatility that exists in the marketplace from time to time. Now, in this case, the goal that he has mentioned is basically wealth creation, and the time horizon is medium term and long term, which is ambiguous. I think it's, like I mentioned earlier, it's very important to have clearly defined time horizon. To help in this investment process, assuming that the medium term is around 3 to 5 years, clearly the portfolio has to be such that you focus more on preserving capital. So I believe that hybrid kind of portfolio would be apt for this kind of time horizon. So my recommendation for this time horizon would be to look at a multi-asset class fund like Axis Triple Advantage Fund. This is a fund that invests in gold, equity, and debt. And for the long term, if we assume that the time horizon is 8-10 years or even more, clearly the focus has to be in beating inflation. That's where I think equity funds will come into play. My recommendation would be to look at a large cap fund like ICICI Pru Focus, and the other one would be IDFC Premier Equity, which is a quality mid-cap fund. So this combination should be apt for investing a sum of 7,000 rupees.
All right, Manish, I hope you were listening in to that advice that Hemant did give you. But up next, we do have an SMS coming in from Rajnesh Dua. Rajnesh says that he has a disposable income of 50,000 per month for the next 3 years, at the end of which he would like to go for an MBA. Could you recommend, Hemant, what he can do with regard to the saving?
Well, I think there are two important aspects to be looked at here. One is, the time horizon is roughly around 3 years. And the objective is very important because that he wants to pursue MBA after that. So clearly, for a time horizon like this, especially when the money is going to be invested every month, which means the average holding period is going to be even less than 2 years. So the portfolio has to be a conservative portfolio. But at the same time, because he wants to generate some returns on this money, he should be looking at investment options which are tax efficient. And I think that's where mutual funds definitely score over other investment options. So my recommendation would be a couple of debt fund, like one in the short-term category, which is UTI short-term, the other one in the income fund category, a fund which follows a accrual strategy, which is Birla Sun Life Opportunity Fund, and the third fund which he can look at is basically a derivative fund, arbitrage fund rather. A fund that he can look at is ICICI Pru Equity Arbitrage Fund. Let me just briefly explain. This arbitrage fund basically looks to benefit from arbitrage opportunity that exists in the cash and derivative markets. These are, you can say, risk-free investment options, are more even tax efficient than debt fund because the equity tax benefits are applicable here. So I think these are three funds that he should be considering for his investment.
All right, Hemant, thank you very much for joining us with those answers to Rajnish's questions. And Rajnish, I guess while you will be wise in investing your money up until your MBA, before you resign your job and get to your MBA, maybe you should take a look at the job market as well. Take a break. We'll return in a minute.